Good morning class. Today's topic is, let us see what is today's topic is permeability and seepage analysis. So we are going to start with that, unit number 3. So in that you are having permeability, Darcy's law and its validity, discharge and seepage velocity, factors affecting permeability, determination of coefficient of permeability by laboratory and field methods, and permeability of stratified soil. Seepage pressure, quicksand condition, characteristics and uses of flow nets, preliminary problems of discharge, estimation in homogeneous soils, effective, neutral and total stresses in soil mass. So first let us see what permeability means. Permeability is defined as a capacity of soil to allow water passage through it, that is, quantity of flowing for a unit soil surface under a pressure of 1 unit hydraulic gradient. So simply, permeability is the passage of water from the body of the soil. So the types of soil are different, and with respect to that soil, how the passage of water is there. So that is the main topic with respect to permeability. So if there is a piece of soil and you pour water from upside, and if it drains the water quickly, then the soil is permeable, and if it takes time, then the soil is not so permeable. So what do you mean by hydraulic gradient? So this is how is the hydraulic gradient. Here if you can see, the figure shows that the water table is here on the upper reservoir. This is the impervious soil, this is pervious soil, and this is also impervious soil. Pervious means the soil which leads the water, from where the passage of water is very good and quick, but impervious means the passage of water is not so quick, it takes time. So wherever there is pervious water soil, the water will try to flow to the lower level from A to B, and that is known as, the height is known as the hydraulic gradient between the two water table. Then soil consists of solid particles which interconnected voids, where water can flow from a point of high energy to a point of low energy. With respect to gravity, water always flow from high to low power, so that is the condition. So these are the types of grains of soils with respect to porosity. So if you are having the big grains, the porosity, you can see this is the water here, then this is the again next shape, this is again. So all these are the grains with respect to porosity, means percentage of voids present. So if there is a soil here and then you are, so when there are many voids, the flow of water is good from this soil, but if your grains are connected to each other, then the flow of water will take place where the voids are present. What is permeability? Property of soil which permits the flow of water. Permeability is defined as the property of porous material which permits the passage or seepage of water through its interconnected voids. It is very important engineering property. So these are the three main points which refers that it is the main engineering property which allows the passage of water from the soil property. So if there are gravels, big rock type stones, then there is high permeability, and if it is a swift clay, just a black cotton soil, then the soil is less permeable. So now if you can see that this is the soil and these are the water contained, gravels, the water contains are just as they are coming, they are going out. Here if you can see again, if it is a silty soil, then water, if it is poured, the coming of water at the time required is less. Again here also, if you pour water, then the water coming out is less when it is a clayey soil. So if they are gravels, simply it is said that if it is a non-cohesive soil, then there is high permeability level, and if it is a cohesive soil, then the permeability is less. So this is again a figure showing that permeability, if there is a 1 meter of soil with respect to gravel, sand, silt and clay, then if you pour water, then if you are having a water, then it will take 2 minutes to come out. If you have sand, then 2 hours, silt 200 days, and clay then 200 years. So this is, it only shows that the time duration for gravels is less than the clay soil. So this is clay soil, silty soil, sandy and gravel, and it takes low permeability to high permeability with respect to the water. Flow of water through the soils may either be a laminar flow or a turbulent flow. So what do you mean by these two? Let us see. Each fluid particle travel along a definite path which never crosses the path of any other material particle. So this is a laminar flow, they are going in a queue. So that is known as a laminar flow. They are not crossing any other path, they are one by one and going ahead. Next, paths are irregular, twisted, crossing at random. So they are not so good, they are just passing one above the other, or they are passing with respect to others randomly. So this is turbulent flow. So these are the two types of flows. Now factor affecting permeability of soil. First is the particle size. The permeability varies approximately as the square of grain size is depends on the effective diameter of the grain size d10. So d10 is the percentage finer than diameter particle 10%. So voids ratio, increase in the void ratio increases the area available for flow, hence permeability increases for critical conditions. Of course, if you are having voids more in the soil, then the passage of water will be good. Next is property of pore fluids. Pore fluids are fluids that occupy pore spaces in a soil or rock. Permeability is directly proportional to the unit weight of pore fluid and inversely proportional to the viscosity of the pore fluid. Next is shape of particles. Permeability is inversely proportional to the specific surface. Example, as angular soil have more specific surface area compared to the sound soil. Therefore, the soil with angular particles is less permeable than the soil of rounded particles. Then the structure of the soil mass. For same void ratio, the permeability is more for flocculated structure as compared to the dispersed structure. So this is the condition with flocculated and dispersed conditions. Then you have the degree of saturation. The permeability of partially saturated soil less than that of fully saturated soil. So degree of saturation is very important. If you have the soil with respect to partially saturated soil, in first figure if you can see, have less permeability with respect to the fully saturated soil. Next is absorbed water. Absorbed water means a thin microscopic film of water surrounding individual soil grains. This water is not free to move and hence reduces the effective pore space and thus decreases coefficient of permeability. That means these are having just what you can say, they just surround to the soil particle, just like bulking of sand, and increases the volume of the soil. So this is known as absorbed water. Next is entrapped air and organic impurities. Absorbed water means a thin, yes, we have seen that. Entrapped air means this is what you are having the soil particles, and in that you can see air or pore water is there, so that is known as your entrapped air or impurities. Next is your temperature. As the viscosity of the pore fluid decrease with the temperature, as unit weight of pore fluid does not change much with change in the temperature. So gamma doesn't changes. If the temperature changes also, then also the gamma, your unit weight, bulk unit weight remains the same. Next is stratification of soil. Stratified soils are those soils which are formed by layer upon layer of the earth or dust deposited on each other. If the flow is parallel to the layers of the stratification, the permeability is maximum, while the flow is perpendicular to the direction occur with minimum permeability. Soil is arranged in layers, so different types of soils, if they are deposited layer by layer, and the with respect to that, if the water flow is with the layer, then permeability is good, but if it is perpendicular to the layers, then it is less. So hydraulic gradient, water below a groundwater table surface is usually flowing under a hydraulic gradient defined as the slope of free water surface in the direction of flow. So this is the figure. If you have already said that if a high water level is there, the water will try to seep out to the lower water table with respect to the soil. So H1 minus H2 will give you delta H. So delta H is nothing but initial height minus final height will give you the hydraulic gradient with respect to the length of the sample. So the hydraulic gradient is expressed as, this is the diagram. If you are having, these are the piezometers, piezometer 1 and piezometer 2. This is the soil with respect to length L, center to center distance between the two piezometers. If the direction of flow is like this, firstly the water is coming in first piezometer, then it is traveling with respect to permeability and coming out from the point B. So point B is having the again the level of water. So difference between the two level of water is delta H. So therefore hydraulic gradient I equals to delta H upon the length of the two piezometer between the soil mass. So I is the hydraulic gradient, delta H is the head loss, and L is the distance between the 2 points A, B. Darcy's law. Darcy was one of the scientists who has initiated one law, and that law with respect to permeability, to calculate the permeability, is known as Darcy's law. Henry Darcy, 1803 to 1858, hydraulic engineer. His law is a foundation stone for several fields of study. Darcy's law demonstrated experimentally that for laminar flow conditions in a saturated soil, the rate of flow or discharge per unit time is proportional to the hydraulic gradient. It means that discharge is Q, which is equal to proportional to your hydraulic gradient with respect to V and A. So V equals to Ki and Q equals to Kia, where K is permeability of soil, I is the hydraulic gradient, and A is the cross-sectional area of the soil. Now V equals to K into delta H upon L, as we have seen in earlier slide that I is the hydraulic gradient taken as delta H upon L. So therefore V equals to K into I we have taken here. So next, discharge velocity. Average velocity is the quantity of total water flowing in unit time Q through a unit gross cross-sectional area A of the soil at right angles to the direction of flow. So this is the direction of flow. So V equals to average velocity. We need to calculate discharge velocity. V equals to Q upon A. The Q is your discharge and A is the cross-sectional area. The discharge velocity based on the gross cross-sectional area of the soil. However, the actual velocity of the water, that is the seepage velocity through the void spaces, is greater than V. So this is what is the condition. If you are having the soil particle, you have a discharge with respect to the length of soil, then here you can see the area of the soil specimen is A, area of voids is AV, and area of soil solids is AS. A relationship between the discharge velocity and the seepage velocity. If the quantity of water flowing through the soil in unit time is Q, then Q equals to AV. So AV with respect to the seepage velocity is AV into VS. So where Vs is your seepage velocity and Av is your area of void in the cross section of the specimen. An estimate of actual velocity versus referred to as seepage velocity can be made considering the following equation. Av equals to Av into Vs again. So V will be equals to, again solving this equation, V will be equals to AV upon this A here into Vs. So this will be V equals to N upon Vs, since AV upon A is your porosity N. Then validity of Darcy's law. Darcy's type of law is stable in characters as long as the four basic conditions are always satisfied. The steady state is laminar flow with no changes in the hydraulic gradient, 100% saturation and no air bubbles in the soil's voids, flow fulfilling continuity conditions, and no volume changes occur during or as a result of flow. Total cross-sectional area of the soil is considered. So all these points you need to take care of. Now how you will calculate the value of K, which is coefficient of permeability. So typical value for saturated soil are given in the following table. So these are the values of K. This is the soil type, this is K centimeter per second. Gravel 100 to 1, coarse sand 1 to 0.01, fine sand 0.01 to 0.001, silty clay 0.001 to 0.00001, and if you can see clay less than 0.00001. So you can see that clay soil is less permeable and your clean gravel is more permeable. So for uniform sand, K in centimeter per second is calculated by C into D10 square, where C is a constant that varies from 1 to 1.5 and D10 is the effective size in mm for 10% finer material. So determination of coefficient of permeability, laboratory methods, constant head permeability test and variable head permeability test. So out of this we are going to perform this variable head permeability test in the laboratory. Next is field methods. In this there are two methods, pumping out test and pumping in test. Indirect methods, computation from the particle size from consolidation test data, and last is capillarity permeability test. So we are going to learn first these two methods. So let's see first method. Determination of coefficient of permeability, constant head test. The total volume of water collected may be expressed as. So this is your equation. Q equals to AVT equals to A into KIT. Okay, so V is nothing but KI. We have already seen in the Darcy's law. So how it is going to come? Q is the discharge. So this is the photograph of the instrument. This is the overhead cabinet. These are the scales and tubes attached here. and from here if you can see pipes are attached and the sample is nearer down, and from that the permeability test is conducted. So from here if you can see there is a soil sample in the center. This is the porous place above the soil sample. This is also a porous place above the soil sample. One piezometer is attached nearer to the bottom porous plate and one is attached nearer to the upper side, and this is from here the water supply is given, and from bottom the soil water is collected and that is collected in the container, and that is weight. Okay, so water is passed and the time is noted with respect to the discharge of the flow of water, and this is how much time the soil requires to pass from this area and coming to this container, that is noted. So that is calculated by K equals to QL upon AT, where Q is discharge, L is the length of soil, A is the cross-sectional area of soil, H is the total height between the two piezometers or initial and final height, and T is the time required for the discharge of water from the bed of soil. So determination of coefficient of permeability by second falling head apparatus. So falling head apparatus, the velocity of fall in the standpipe is. So again this is a very small instrument again, and the soil is collected in the small instrument with respect to the two porous plates at bottom and top, and this is small pipe attached at the top of this instrument which is known as your standpipe, which is given as small a, and then water is passed and then the time is noted and the water is again collected. How much time this water will take to pass from this soil bed to travel and again come into the container. So first this is the first height and this is the second height after the water is poured into the soil, and the time required to come from H1 to H2 is noted, that is T1 to T2. First is your initial time and second is your final time. So V equals to minus dH into dt if we take the small area. Then you can see that this is the first apparatus condition. This is the sandy soil taken and it is moist first, and when you are moistening this by adding the water, after that what you have to do, you have to take this falling head or variable head apparatus, then add the soil, attach this container at the above of the soil and again pour the soil, then add the porous place. This is the porous place at bottom, this is the porous place at the top. Then join this container's cover which is having the tube at the top, and after that pour the water. Okay, after pouring the water, then the soil water will pass from the upper side and will go in the container, collecting in this container. How much time it is taken, that you have to note down. So this is how it is taken. This is the funnel which is attached to the tap or overhead cabinet, then water is passed through it, and then from here the water is collected in a measuring jar, that is your final height H2 and this is your final time T2. So Q is Q out equals to Q in. So that is given by Q in is given by minus A dH upon dt, where A is your area of small standpipe with respect to height and time, and Q out will be the coefficient of permeability with hydraulic gradient H upon L with respect to cross sectional area A. So with respect to this we will put in this equation, that will be KHL A equals to minus A dH upon dt. Again we are separating the variables with respect to the limits. So with respect to dt, T1 and T2, with respect to H, H1 and H2. So we will separate all these. So K A upon L dt equals to A dH upon H. So simplifying this, you will get K equals to AL A delta T in H1 upon H2. Further, this is taken to as log to the base 10 by multiplying it by 2.303 AL upon AT log to the base 10 H1 upon H2. So this is how you calculate the coefficient of permeability for the variable or falling head test. So permeability in stratified soils: flow in the horizontal direction parallel to the layer. So this is the condition, layer 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this is the discharge parallel to the layer. This is your condition 1 and this is your reservoir 2. So flowing in, coming out of the water with the height of your water levels. So the total flow through the cross section in the unit time can be written as Q1 to Qn. So Q is nothing but this one. So V into H, V into unit length L into H. So V1 1 into H1 to Vn into Hn. So simplifying, this is average discharge velocity. Discharge velocities of flow in layers. So permeability in stratified soils: for horizontal flow, the head H over the same flow path L will be same for each layer. So I will be equals to this much. So an equivalent coefficient of permeability in horizontal is given by. So therefore for horizontal flow, KH equals to 1 upon H K1 H1 into H1 with respect to KHN into HN. So this is the formula to calculate the coefficient of permeability with respect to the parallel to the surface or layers. So next is flow in vertical direction perpendicular to the layer. So this is the condition, layer by layer, and this is the discharge. So this is your difference between the water level and this is the height. So the Q is the discharge and A is the cross sectional area. So it is given by Q equals to Q1 equal to Q2 equals to Qn. So head loss in all the layers will be H1 plus H2 plus Hn. So this will be I into H with respect to this, and V will be V1 equals to V2 equals to Vn. So average coefficient of permeability in the vertical direction is given by this formula. So these are the two types. First parallel to the layers and second is perpendicular to the layers. So this is all for today. In next class we are going to see with respect to the C page.